أهلا بكم في حلقة أخرى من برنامج لقاء عمل في إكسبو. حرصت دبي في هذه النسخة من المعرض الدولي الكبير على أن يكون كبيرا فعلا، وكان لها ذلك. حرصت أيضا على أن يعي العالم أهمية ومفهوم تواصل العقول وصنع المستقبل ومعنى الاستدامة والفرص ومعنى التنقل، وكان لها ذلك أيضا. حرصت دبي على أن تظهر للعالم كيفية التعايش بين جميع الشعوب في هذه المساحة من خلال التعاون والتنسيق. نجحت في ذلك بسهولة كبيرة. حلقتنا اليوم من برنامج لقاء عمل في إكسبو ستكون من جناح الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية. واشنطن هي الأخرى حرصت على الظهور بالوجه الذي يليق بها، وكان لها ذلك. أمريكا حاضرة رافعة شعار الحياة والحرية والسعي نحو المستقبل. يتربع هذا الجناح على مساحة تصل إلى 36 ألف قدم مربع، يمنح زواره فرصة ذهبية للاطلاع على تاريخ الولايات المتحدة منذ تأسيسها وما تتميز به من ابتكارات واختراعات سنكتشفها خلال هذه الحلقة. والبداية ستكون مع المفوض العام للجناح الأمريكي السيد روبرت كلارك. Hi Bob, how are you?
Hi.
How's everything?
So good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Welcome to the USA.
This is a beautiful spot. We had hard time to film here because everybody wants to take pictures there.
No, it's Instagrammable. It's
It
very
is
exciting
very
place
Instagrammable,
for people to come.
but it's ours now for the next 15 minutes.
Fantastic.
Thank you. It's a beautiful pavilion.
Yes.
How, in your point of view, this is really translating the theme of Expo Dubai, connecting mind, creating future?
Yeah. Well, I think it's a great format for the USA to be able to participating in the UAE's amazing Expo, and it's many ways that we're connecting minds. We're having cultural acts, we're having sports figures, we're bringing business events. We've had over 2,800 business people, many people who are doing business all over the Middle East, but all over the world. Some companies like Boeing and GE, and people also very focused on sustainability issues. And so we are totally focused on the themes of the Expo.
You have a beautiful theme. It is around life, liberty
and the
pursuit of the future.
Yes.
How is it translated inside?
Yeah, so we have 8 exhibits, and basically what we're trying to do is get people. We've had 400,000 plus people through the pavilion already, to get a real sense of our culture, our values, but also the technological advances that have improved life on Earth and life on the moon. And so we have some space, and we also hope to convey a message that we're going to be the innovators in the world for the long term. America is going to be the most innovative country in the world.
This is what you want to showcase.
Yes.
Well, I'm reading and preparing of the episode, and a word is coming and popping up all the time when I read about the pavilion: freedom. How freedom, in your point of view, is creating opportunities?
Yeah, so obviously what we're trying to show here, we want people to make up their own minds to some degree, but we want them to also understand that through life, liberty, and the pursuit of the future, that freedom is the definition of being able to act and say and speak and learn without restraint. And we think that leads to incredible innovation.
What is distinguished about this pavilion? You are neighbor to Japan, Italy, India, Germany, the compass of Germany. What is distinguished about this pavilion?
And all of those pavilions are outstanding. But what we have, we think that's special here. First of all, we have 75 youth ambassadors. So we have some of our youth, 20-something kids, I call them, that have come over from 47 different states. They speak 25 different languages. We think oftentimes the millions of people that will come through our pavilion, it may be the only American they ever see or talk to and have interaction with. And at the same time, inside the pavilion, we have Jefferson's Quran.
Yes.
And we also have the moon rock. And so we have many distinguishing features, but I think being able to meet young Americans is really a great...
I love the idea of the young American that they brought from America, from more than 37 states. There are more than 70 students actually speaking many languages.
Yes.
You think that how nice people will meet them. But can you imagine how nice they are meeting all people from all around the world here in one place?
They are having a great experience. They're also doing cultural exchange programs. They've been able to spend time at the consulate with us. They're able to shadow me. They're going on pavilion visits with me. So they're definitely getting the experience of a lifetime.
Of a lifetime, exactly.
Of a lifetime.
Will put it in a CV, and definitely they will go out with a different mind, and they will go into the world of, you know, work and starting their career differently than anyone else.
I think they'll all be ambassadors for the UAE.
Yes.
That's what they'll be when they leave here.
I think so. I didn't
and so
see
will
this
I,
point.
because my wife and I are having a terrific experience also here.
I will ask you about this living in UAE for the next 6 months here. How is it? But before that, since you started talking about the UAE, you know, this Expo is happening after a very tough time for the whole world.
Yes.
How, in your point of view, UAE and actually American Pavilion overcame all the challenges?
Well, it's really interesting that even before the pandemic, that the UAE wisely chose this connecting theme.
Yeah.
But now more important than ever, of course, to bring people from all over the world back together again, you can see, in a really what I feel like is a very safe environment.
Yes.
I think the UAE has done a real leadership role in the world in terms of getting people vaccinated, getting the testing regimen in place, and I think everybody feels safe, and I think it's been great, especially these business events. We've had, we've had 2,700 business people here, and everybody shows up. Everybody that's invited shows up. There's never an empty seat.
Amazing. People, they want to connect.
People want to get back together again. Zooming is for the birds.
Actually, USA has the tradition of hosting Expo.
Yes.
And it started in Chicago in 1893. So you are really mastering Expo, the word Expo, in hosting, organizing. How do you evaluate Expo Dubai now?
Yeah, I think it's an amazing experience. I also grew up in St. Louis, Missouri, where the 1904 World's Fair was, where Washington University's campus is still the legacy project of the World's Fair back then. Clearly, this will be an unbelievable place to visit in 10 years or 20 years, but in 50 years, people will look back at this expo as being one of the most extraordinary, I think.
I will go back to your life. Dubai will be your home, and your wife's home
love it
as well.
We'll always come here,
months.
always,
Really?
for the rest of our lives. We'll love Dubai and the greater UAE. We've been to Abu Dhabi. We've been able to go to the Grand Mosque. We've been able to visit some of the key locations like the Louvre, and we find it very much our home.
And this home that you find it has been built only during the last 50 years, only 5 decades.
Incredible.
That's it.
That's unbelievable.
It is.
It really is. I'm a builder back home,
Yes.
in my real life as a builder and an architect, and I think everybody in the world should come and see this, and this is a blueprint for how to do things right for the long haul. But it is an incredible, actually the whole 50 years, founding of the country. We've been able to go to the Etihad Museum and get really entrenched in the history and the vision that the founders of the country had. To be able to have a vision is one thing, but to have the will to actually pull it off is a totally different thing.
And the vision was implemented.
What we admire.
I will use your expertise in construction, and I will ask you, what is the structure that really caught your eyes and attention, either in Expo or in Dubai?
I think concrete and steel and buildings and the structures are amazing, but what really catches my eye is the vision coming to a reality in people's real life. I think the most remarkable thing is the paradigm that is set for the average 35-year-old Emirati is beyond probably anybody else on earth. And I think that's what's really been built here.
I want to finish with you in one question. When this is over in March 31st, what is the legacy? What is the message that will be left after this expo?
Oh, I think that connecting minds and focusing on sustainability around the world, bringing 192 countries together, doing it right for all of these countries to experience a national day where the leadership of the UAE has been so present in the process. That's going to be the legacy. But you have to come back on the 31st because we're going to launch our rocket on that day. That's how we're going to get rid of it.
I would love to
our Falcon 9 rocket, you have to come and see,
I'm here
launching it off.
I came for months before the Expo started. I never understood what is that, rocket, but now, of course, I understand. 31st, I will be here witnessing this amazing experience. Bob, thank you very much.
Great to meet you.
Thank you for being with us. I know you are very busy. And now we will leave the people to go back and take pictures.
Take their pictures,
here.
their Instagrams.
Should we take pictures, you and I, here?
Can we do it?
I have my phone here.
Let's show the way.
Your Excellency, thank you for being with us. I know you have a very busy schedule, but thank you for coming here to the pavilion for this interview.
It's a great pleasure to be here, to be with you, and clearly we're very proud of our pavilion.
Yes, I was with Bob, the Commissioner General, and we took a lot of selfies in that place in the front of the pavilion. It's very Instagrammable, and a lot of people are coming in the pavilion. It is a great work, honestly, and effort for this Expo. Why was it important for America to be present in this Expo, Dubai, with this pavilion?
Yeah, it was very important for us to represent our culture here. Here in the Emirates, there's so much focus on the knowledge economy and on innovation, and we have a really important story to tell about why we have been so innovative in the United States, and I think that this pavilion tells that story. So from starting out with our respect for religious diversity to our market economy and competition, and these are the elements of our culture that have produced the iPhone. And of course, we've got an iPhone on display here. You also saw the Thomas Jefferson Quran, which speaks to the diversity and the religious diversity of our country. And then we also talk about the space program, for example. So we talk about all of these innovations that come directly from our culture. And these are areas where we're collaborating also with the United Arab Emirates. So it's very relevant and important for us to be.
Actually, USA and UAE relationship goes way back, decades ago actually. USA was the third country to have a formal diplomatic relationship with UAE. How can you define this relation between the two countries?
Yeah, this is a relationship that is 50 years strong. It's a very strong relationship, and it's a very broad relationship, and it's a very active relationship. So we work together very closely on areas of shared security concern, regional stability, for example, where we are very proud of the Emirates that they recognized Israel through the Abraham Accords last year, for example. However, the relationship is also deep in areas, for example, trade. This is a $20 billion trade relationship across a range of sectors. And our cultural ties are also very strong. The educational ties are strong. We have 3 American universities here in Sharjah, Ras Al Khaimah, and Dubai, and then also NYU, Abu Dhabi also is a strong force. So the relationship is strong across all of these areas and many more.
A lot of sectors, you named them, education, there are of course industry and technology. Where do you see the area that will be reinforced in the future between UAE and USA?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of potential. There's a lot of commercial potential. And in terms of the United Arab Emirates developing the knowledge economy, there's a lot that the United States can bring to the table to help reinforce and keep building up the knowledge economy here. And we already see that with the 1,500 American companies who are here, very active, not just working with the Emirati government, but across a range of sectors to really develop and digitalize the economy, or contribute to the development of healthcare, or working in other high-tech areas, or providing a broad range of services, including education and a number of others.
You say that there are around 1,500 companies that are established here, American, of course, established. What do you think the reason that made them want to choose Dubai as their regional headquarter? We are talking all the investors and company, and what made them make this choice?
A number of reasons. I think first and foremost, the strong political relationship between the United States and the UAE that's very strong for American companies to invest in an area. But just as important is the business climate that the UAE has worked to develop here. American companies find that very attractive. And then finally, the UAE is in the center of everything. It's a fantastic regional hub. So a number of our American companies cover a number of other countries from here as a regional. They have a regional presence from here.
UAE has been the #1 USA export. For the last 12 years, the number of trade between the two countries reached $200 billion. So the question is, what made it sustainable for the last decade, even though there are a lot of problems in the world, among them the pandemic?
Yeah, I think it's sustainable because of the environment that the UAE has created for businesses. There are a lot of opportunities here. But in terms of the sustainability, there is still a lot of opportunity here for our companies. So I mentioned earlier in terms of developing the knowledge economy, there are so many opportunities here with supporting Emirati efforts towards that end. There are also efforts in emerging areas, those innovation areas, whether we're talking about quantum computing or artificial intelligence, and that goes from the research that's going on at the universities to the partnerships that a lot of our American companies have with either local institutions or with other entities. A lot of that is happening here in the Emirates.
There are around 50,000 U.S. residents in the UAE. What do they bring with them?
Well, first and foremost, they bring their culture. They bring their culture and a can-do attitude, but they bring a tremendous amount of expertise. So whether we're talking about professionals, whether it's doctors in medical facilities, whether it's teachers and educators throughout the universities, or whether it's employees of all of these American companies, they bring a lot of expertise with them and they add that to the economy here. So that's a big plus here as well.
Your Excellency, you talked about space as one of the sector and area of cooperation between USA and UAE, and during the research I came across one tweet that made me emotional. Actually, I get goosebump even talking about it. I want to show it to you. It is the Perseverance, that is the NASA rover, that said in a tweet on the 9th of February, "Dear Hope Mars mission," and of course it is attended to the Hope probe, "Congratulations on arriving at Mars. In the words of the poet Al-Mutanabbi, if you ventured in pursuit of glory, don't be satisfied with less than the stars." And they wrote it in Arabic. Can you believe it?
It brings goosebumps to me as well. And I think that this is a strong sign of our collaboration, not just in space, but in so many other areas. For this probe to be talking to the rover and just showing the collaboration that the United States and the UAE share, it's very significant. And another significant event that we had recently was the International Astronautical Congress. Yeah. We had a very large NASA delegation. It was 53 strong. We were very proud of that, very proud of Dubai for hosting the International Astronautical Congress for the very first time in the Middle East. And it was an opportunity for us to deepen that relationship. And now, I think it was just this week, just a couple of days ago, we had 2 Emirati astronauts depart for the United States. They will spend with NASA training, and that is also an opportunity to further strengthen and deepen the US-UAE space relationship.
It is beyond those tweets, because the Hope Mars mission even replied to the rover Perseverance, and they said, "Thank you, NASA Persevere. The launch was really exciting. I wish you all the best for your big day. See you soon," because the Mars probe arrived first. So NASA Perseverance said, "Thank you. I cannot wait to join you on the journey." You see, it's beyond two probe or a rover and a probe talking. It is this connection between the two nations on so many levels. Space is one of them.
Absolutely. And that shows the potential. that shows that there is still a lot more to come.
A lot, definitely. Both nations are really invested in the space.
Agreed.
And the humanity needs this investment. We will all benefit out of it. Definitely.
Absolutely.
But thank you for that.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this, Your Excellency, for a long time, and I love it. I don't know what is it. It's a crystal ball, but it has so many artistic things, and it's just very catchy. What is it?
This is a piece of artwork that honestly speaks to a lot of astronauts. We've had a number of astronauts come through the pavilion. They're all captured by this. This is a piece of artwork by an American artist, Josh Simpson.
Yeah.
His wife is an astronaut, actually, and this represents the cosmos. Yes. So it has a particular relationship with space, but it also represents American artistry. This is part of a program called Arts and Embassies. We have a number of representations of that program. Of course, the pavilion is all about showcasing American, not just art, but history, etc. But this is the artistic representation. So it's one of a number of pieces that we have that we're very lucky to have from Josh Simpson.
I think anyone will look at this and will read it in different ways. I read it as, I didn't know the story, you just told me. I read it as the fauna and the flora of the earth, actually, to preserve as environment, climate change, preservation. This is the way I read it, but I think it's open for interpretation as well. What a nice story behind it. I love it.
And I thought it was undersea.
Yeah.
I thought it was marine life.
Exactly.
So everyone does interpret it differently, but that's the beauty of art.
Exactly. He's really genius. I mean, I love it. That is really beautiful. I didn't see the pavilion yet. I will have a tour with the Deputy Commissioner General Mathiew.
Great.
And you named the Quran, Quran that belonged to Jefferson, the third president of the USA.
That's right.
It's shameful for me that I lived in USA like 3 years and I didn't go to the Congress, the Library of Congress, to see it. And somehow years ago, that book, the Quran, came here to Expo, and I will have the opportunity to see it.
Yes, you are in luck. It is the first time that this Quran has ever left the United States Capitol complex, the Library of Congress, and it departed, of course, for an overseas venture. So it's the first time it's on display overseas. So we're very proud to have it. Yeah. This is a Quran that came from the personal library of Thomas Jefferson. He purchased it many years before he wrote the Declaration of Independence, and that really speaks to his curiosity and respect for other religions. And it's really an important part of our country because, of course, we were founded on the basis of freedom of religion.
Amazing. And freedom is part also of the theme of the pavilion and USA. I will see how it is translated into pavilion with Mathiew. Your Excellency, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. It's a great pleasure.
A pleasure to interview you. Really, it's amazing. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to the USA Pavilion.
Thank you. Mathiew, how are you?
We're so excited to have you here. It's
Thank
a lovely
you.
evening, and it's great to have you and your team with us.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. I think if we should start, I should ask you by that seal. What does it represent?
So this is the Great Seal of the United States, and E pluribus unum in Latin means out of many one. It describes the foundation of our country. As you approach, you pass by 13 flags for the 13 original states. And again, all of us coming together to form this new union.
And I liked how the facade is with the stars of America. There are 50 stars in the United States flags, and you have so many of them in the facade.
Exactly. So our theme is life, liberty, and the future. And what we wanted to do is to pay homage to, that Declaration of Independence, the birthplace of our country. And the Stars and Stripes is such an American symbol. And what our architects did, we were advised by Woods Baggett, what they helped to do is incorporate that star into the facade that you see out front. Stars that are not only a symbol for America, but again, a symbol that resonates with here, across the entire world.
It's a connection you found between the Arab world, UAE, and of course USA.
Exactly, and a little bit later in the exhibition, you'll see how we kind of reach for the stars and how we're trying to explore the heavens. So,
looking forward to this. And should we start
Let's
our
take a
journey?
look inside.
Yes, please. Here we start our journey.
So here we start with the theme of the U.S. Pavilion: life, liberty, and the pursuit of the future. And the first thing people see is actually a greeting from our Vice President, Kamala Harris. And this is something that, we find is very interesting for people. Obviously, Kamala Harris having some heritage here in the region.
Yes.
One of her, parents.
India.
From South Asia, from India more specifically. So it's really interesting as our first, female vice president.
True.
And someone with roots here in the region.
That is a very good message, I think. And actually it shows how America is committed to Expo and to be present in different Expo in the world, and the first one in the Middle East and South Asia and North Africa.
Exactly, that's why we wanted to have somebody here. Again, the Vice President was a perfect person to give that greeting to our guests.
I think so. Explain to me, what is this? What are we walking
We're here on the
to?
Travelator, but quickly I want to show you, this is the preamble for the Declaration of Independence, and this is where the theme for our pavilion comes from.
Okay.
So one of the unique things about the USA Pavilion is that guests are transported here through our experience. So you don't have to move, you don't have to walk. All you have to do is stand still and the exhibit unfolds before you.
Okay, now I understand. You made it the easiest pavilion, Matthew, because we walk a lot in the pavilions. I think you made it the easiest one. So explain to me, this is
the Statue of Liberty's torch.
Of course.
And so an iconic American symbol welcoming people to the United States. And what many may not know is that the Statue of Liberty was a gift from France.
True.
So it was a gift from France to the United States, and as part of this, the United States had to build the pedestal, had to build the monument where the statue would go. And so this actually has a World's Fair story of itself.
True. On an island next to New York.
New York City. So what they did is actually in 1876, in the first World's Fair to take place in the United States in Philadelphia, they showed that torch. And people had to pay, a small couple of cents in order to go into the torch, and they used that to raise money to build the foundation for the statue that went in later. So this has this history and connection to that 1876 World's Fair in Philadelphia.
I didn't know. I thought they brought it and they put it there and that's it. I didn't know it's connected to Expo as well.
It has a World's Fair connection. So again, life, liberty, and the pursuit of the future.
We are going to the future, but before we go into the history of the United States.
That's what we wanted to tell people. We wanted to tell people a little bit about the freedoms and opportunities that brought people to the United States. And one of the things that was important was, again, our religious freedom, religious liberty. So Thomas Jefferson, one of the authors of the Declaration of Independence that you read earlier, he actually owned this copy, an English translation of the Quran. And this is the first time it has ever left the Capitol complex in Washington, D.C. on loan from the Library of Congress.
Thank you for bringing it.
Well, I think many people are impressed to learn that, this statesman, one of the first secretaries of state, first foreign ministers, that he had this in his private collection. And he used that as part of the text that he turned to when thinking about what would the Declaration of Independence say? Like, how could we ensure that there was no religious test, that anybody from any religion could hold office in the United States?
I cannot imagine at that time how Quran was between his hand and he read it, and that's what made the Declaration of Independence so successful and viable until now, until today.
Well, you know, again, religious liberty,
Yeah.
that was so important to him and so important to those initial founders of the United States. So that starts us out with some of that history, some of those appreciations for what came before, and then we talk about in Exhibit 2 here, some of the inventions that came from the United States.
Steve Jobs.
You recognize some of these people.
Nearly instantaneous.
And so what we did is we started out talking about that first telephone, Alexander Graham Bell, around the corner. That was also from the 1876 World's Fair in Philadelphia. So that started the communications revolution, if you want. And then these are showing some of the other inventions that came from the United States. And you can see our star pattern as well. Remember the stars from out front?
It's still here. It's the thing that is linked everybody
Exactly.
together is the star.
Yeah.
And you gave a lot to humanity during, I mean, the existence of the United States. This is
the telephone, Alexander Graham Bell's telephone.
Yeah. I own that phone. It's a small one. I own that one. And yeah.
Well, the other thing here is that, again, this goes into that 1893 World's Fair in Chicago. So we talked about Philadelphia, we talked about Chicago. At that fair, they demonstrated alternating current, electricity, something that we take for granted today.
But it started, I mean, to showcase from the United States.
Or the assembly line for the Ford Motor Company.
And Tesla.
Tesla.
Yeah, they started in the United States in Chicago, 1893. And you always are interested in the Expo. You are what we call, I was told you are an Expo nerd? What do we call you?
You know, Expo junkie. I love these World's
Really?
Fairs. You know, I went to my first one when I was 13, living in South Korea. In South Korea.
Wow.
And so, you know, one of the things is that I had some idea of what the World's Fair was then, but it wasn't until 2000 in Germany, when I was interning at our consulate in Frankfurt, that I went to the Hanover World's Fair.
True.
And the Hanover World's Fair was interesting because it was the first time that the United States did not participate in a World's Fair. And we missed it. And there are reasons why we missed it, but ever since then, I've been committed to helping tell America's story and ensuring that when the world gathers, that America shows up. We had to be here in Dubai.
Yes, that is really good because you are bringing a lot of things and people take what America brought to the world for granted. So you have to showcase what America is bringing.
You have to tell their story.
Yeah, you have to.
So here in Exhibit 3, what we see is some of the inventors. We see Time Kids of the Year, Gitanjali Rao. She's 16.
Yeah.
Indian American.
What did she do?
You know, she came up with this system to test for lead in drinking water. And that was, again, something that she said, you know, we need to do this. And so we're so excited. We're actually bringing her back here as a speaker at the World's Fair, at Expo 2020.
And to make the whole world know her and her invention as well.
And it's not just about her invention, it's about that spirit and that attitude that in America, anyone can invent, anyone can create, and, you know, anyone can innovate. But it is that American freedom, that American environment that makes it possible.
I think this is what I talked about the Commissioner General. I talked with him about this. Freedom brings opportunity. And this is what you are showing now and proving actually. Oh, that is nice.
Some of these other inventions, this is a zip line. It shows how we're bringing drone technology to deliver medicines in remote parts of the world. So again, American technology, American company, helping to improve lives in remote places.
I can imagine, look at how many visitors you have, and the kids are having a blessing time here. I can see that.
You know, it's amazing, whether it's kids, whether it's adults, whether it's, you know, people here with their grandmothers or grandfathers. The entire family comes through, and what's great is that, you know, on the Travelator, it made it easier, but also people of determination. Anyone can ride the Travelator, and we're so excited to have people here with us.
Thank you for this. For someone who walks on high heels, this is very helpful, Matthew. Thank you so much.
Well, this is the first part of our journey.
Yes.
Now we're going to go into the future.
Let's go
into
the future.
As it says here, what's next?
What's next? That's a good question, always. Let's have the will we have the answer and what's next?
All we need to do is look up. What is amazing about this is that you can actually sit down here and see it in the ceiling. The show as it unfolds beyond you.
Let's sit here.
Let's take a seat.
Yes. Oh, and look up. Wow.
Set the foundation for an exciting new future.
This exhibit's unlike anything that we've ever done before at a World's Fair. In past World's Fairs, we've had, you know, a movie, and then you maybe went to another room and you saw a different film. But here we wanted to do something different with the Travelator that would then put you out into this vast room. It's our biggest space in the pavilion itself. And then the show, not in front of you, but above. And what you're seeing right now, wow, is the quantum computing that, again, will be the future.
It is talking about the advancement of the USA in quantum computing and many other fields, correct?
Exactly. And so here, one of our, you know, partners, Honeywell, is talking about how they're using that quantum computer right now.
Okay. USA has this tradition in be present in Expo. I think it's improving by different edition of Expo every time, and this one, I don't know. You are the one. You think this is one of the best participation of Expo, of USA at the Expo?
Well, you know, I was telling you before that 1993 was my first World's Fair in South Korea.
Yeah.
And then in 2000 in Germany I went, and the United States missed it. And I said, you know, we can't miss this. And so 2005 in Japan, 2010 in China, 2015 in Italy. And then this is the first one that I've been able to work on.
Oh.
So I took all those experiences, brought them together to the show that you see here today. And I have to say, maybe I'm a little bit biased, but I think we've done a pretty good job.
Excellent. Do you see the visitors here? Non-stop, Matthew.
We've been so pleased by the number of people we have coming through here. 7,000, 8,000, 10,000 people a day.
Wow. What are those things moving?
So this is one of my favorite parts. It's talking about the future of energy.
Okay.
And again, fusion technology. And this is something that we're doing with some of our Department of Energy laboratories in the United States.
Oh yeah, it's coming down.
Well, here's the countdown.
2.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, wow.
So this exhibition talking about space exploration, quantum computing, fusion, technology, this is everything that will come. And, you know, it's being researched and developed in the United States with our partners.
Yeah. And I love how people are here just laying down, actually. Laying down and watching.
Well, I think that's the best way
It's
to
relaxing.
experience it. You know, if we lay back, we could actually like be immersed in this world above. But yes, ever since we didn't have these actually the first day, but ever since they arrived, and everyone has been really enjoying this space.
I have to tell the viewers there are no, you know, those one left. Only one we have to share it with you because all the others are used by the visitors. I'm happy with this, so that's why we couldn't lay down. We have only one, but it's anyway. With this, we can watch it anyway and enjoy it.
This is talking a little bit about autonomous vehicles and drones, and again, you saw in Exhibit 3 about how they're using drone technology to deliver medicine in rural parts of Africa. Here again, all these different technologies being developed in the United States. It's amazing to think about.
That small dog, I know it. It's from Boston University or something.
Boston Robotics.
It's Boston Robotic, yes, the yellow one. I love that. I follow it. I follow that robotic, what they are doing. It's amazing. They jump, they run, they go backward. I mean, it's amazing what they can do.
Maybe we should bring them to Expo.
Yes, that will be a good idea.
We still have some time.
You have the next one in Japan.
2025 in Osaka.
Osaka, think about it. That's a good idea to bring them. Oh.
Well, you know, one of the interesting things is that you'll see this a little bit outside, that we have a stage. And throughout the expo, we're bringing cultural performers,
Yes.
40 different groups, we're bringing speakers. We had the head of the Statue of Liberty Ellis Island Foundation that you saw in Exhibit 1. He came and he talked about how that statue has welcomed millions of people to America. So, you know, whether it's the culture, whether it's the history, we're trying to bring it all here to Expo.
You have a lot of events.
We're trying to, again, just this afternoon we actually had a Texas swing group performing.
Nice.
Texan
They
Flyers.
came from Texas.
Texas, it's the state music of Texas.
Amazing. This is the moon?
That's the International Space Station.
Okay.
And again, here you can see our astronaut.
Oh, yes.
And upstairs you'll see something that is one of a kind.
Let's see. I want to see anything that is one of a kind. So Matthew, up or right or
So
left?
I want to show you something here.
Okay.
This is our national park. So the National Park Service has this kind of, you know, iconic signage that they use at all their parks, and we've recreated it here. It's a popular picture spot for people that want to visit America.
It's with pictures. This is one of the national parks.
so
that one also, I think, with the lake and
Exactly.
there.
So you can
okay,
see
it's
it. We'll
all
actually
around,
take a trip
actually.
upstairs, and we have 9 different national parks here. And these supersized photographs are actually from a Vietnamese American photographer.
I believe this is why it's America is very diverse. So you chose those pictures from a Vietnamese American photographer.
Exactly. That was to help to demonstrate not just the diversity of our landscape and our geography, but the diversity of our people as well.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm Japanese American, 4th generation.
Really?
So my family on one side came over from Japan and then was in California for a little bit and eventually ended up outside of Philadelphia.
Wow. I think every American is coming from somewhere on the planet.
Every American is an immigrant at some point in history.
True.
One of the things we have here, though, is that natural beauty. And I should say, you know, that we have some great examples here. Even the Grand Canyon, one of the best places in America. And when I say everyone being an immigrant, I should make a little bit of a caveat, because obviously there were some people there before Americans came. And we were so happy, actually earlier in November, we organized an Indigenous Symposium. So we actually had some Native Americans that came over that spoke and performed at the event here at Expo.
So they were here also at Expo Dubai. This is universal. It
is.
includes everybody.
It is. It's such
And
a
they
great...
want to show it as well in the pavilion.
Well, we did that, and also, you know, partnering with like New Zealand and Canada and other countries that also have indigenous populations. It was a celebration of the community here at Expo.
And what do we have here?
So this is one of our final exhibits at the USA Pavilion. We call this Site USA, Study, Invest, Travel, and Explore the United States. And this right here is probably one of the more interesting things. And I promised you some unique, one-of-a-kind objects.
What is it?
Did you know that you'd be able to touch the moon when you came to the USA Pavilion today?
No.
Many people don't realize it, but we have 1 of 11 touchable moon rocks.
This is a moon rock.
1 of 11.
I can touch a moon rock.
You can touch the moon, and before you do this, we always say, make a wish.
Let me think. I know. Can
Please.
I touch it? So.
So this was brought back on that last mission from Moon to the United States, so Apollo 17. And
That's
one of
the
the
one.
things that the United States has committed to doing is to go back to the moon as part of the Artemis project. So our last manned mission to the moon was there in 1972, Apollo 17, which brought back this moon rock that you see here today.
Yes.
And NASA, working with some international partners with the Artemis project, we're going to go back to the moon. And that's what's so exciting.
And discover more.
Well, and learn more. As for that next step, which is to Mars.
Mars, yes.
So we have the moon, and this, it's not a piece of Mars because we don't have anything yet brought back from Mars, but this is actually a Martian meteorite.
Okay.
And so it's a sample from that found in Antarctica.
Ah, that came down.
That came down, yes.
Okay, that is amazing. When the thing I wished for happens, from there I will tell you.
After.
Not now, after. When it happens, I will tell you.
Yes.
Promise. It's a big thing.
Well, you know what? We've had a dozen or so astronauts actually come through the USA Pavilion, and all of them have been, have made a wish here on the moon.
Let's hope. What is this? Is a probe or a rover?
Well, we talked about this. This is that rover, the Opportunity rover. So in 2004, some students at Cornell University in the United States, they put together this model of the Opportunity rover that then went up into space and landed on the Mars. And
it landed on Mars. This is the prototype?
This is the replica of that, or model, shall we say, of that Mars Opportunity rover.
And we know there are rover Perseverance, Curiosity.
Exactly.
Around Mars there are a probe that's called Hope from UAE. And this is his opportunity. We are all wishing to discover more and know more about Mars.
Well, I think one of the most fascinating things is that this was only supposed to be there for about 3 to 6 months. And then they said, okay, it's going to stop functioning, whatever. But, we actually had the head of NASA's science program with us.
Yeah.
We've had the heads of 5 space agencies come to the USA Pavilion during since it opened. But he was telling us that the reason that this lasted for as long as it did is because of the dust and the sandstorms that are up there on Mars. They would actually keep it free from dust. But eventually, 14 years later, it accumulated too much, and it stopped working.
But 14 years is very good.
Much longer than the 3 to 6 months that they expected.
Exactly. And definitely it sent a lot of information about Mars.
Exactly. And so you can see here, these are actually some of the probes from outer space right now that are sending back signals, to Spain, to the United States, and to Australia.
Yeah, Canberra. Yeah.
Here in the back,
yes.
You saw downstairs that Perseverance rover in our big exhibit.
Yes.
Well, this is an image of it, 2021.
This is the recent one.
Exactly. This is from Mars.
This is Perseverance?
That's Perseverance.
It made a selfie.
Yeah, you can say that.
Yes.
Should we take a picture in front of it?
Yes, please. Selfie it is.
If you look at it from this way, you can see that 2021 image. However, if we walk over on this side,
let's work from
you can see the first television image of Mars from 1965. So 1965, travel through time.
And
so today, 2021. So remember, we had the moon,
yes,
Mars, and now let's go outside for the final.
Let's discover what is the final experience that you have. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you. Oh, Falcon 9.
This is our SpaceX Falcon 9 replica rocket. A 1-to-1 replica, 42 meters tall, tallest object of any country here at Expo 2020.
Really?
Yes, we had to get special permission to bring it in.
Okay, always record, Okay, you topped everything in Expo. That's the tallest one. That's why I can see it when I'm coming.
You can. It's almost a beacon. It says, come to the United States. But what's interesting is that this rocket here, and it doesn't have a capsule on it.
Okay.
And we did that purposefully because we wanted people to know that this is actually a reusable rocket.
Oh, really?
That it could go up maybe 10 times or so.
More.
Exactly. And that's, again, meant to bring the cost of that way down.
Yeah.
So, again, but this actually brings people to the International Space Station.
Excellent. You know, I think this is one of the stars of the pavilion. People come and see, because where can you see it elsewhere? Tell me, Mathiew. Only the US Pavilion.
Only the USA Pavilion here. Only
Dubai.
on Expo 2020.
Exactly.
Or in California.
Yes. That's also something else. You have to travel
And you know, we
for
hope
it.
that people will visit the USA Pavilion and be inspired to study in the United States or travel to the United States, or maybe they want to invest in the United States.
Yes.
That's part of what we are trying to communicate here, but whatever it is,
We always talk about the American dream.
you know, it's something that attracts people and has attracted people, attracted my family.
Yes. For a generation ago, that's amazing. I hear music. What is this music?
You know, this is just one of those 40 groups that we brought with us. This one's actually from Texas, doing a little Texan swing.
Oh, you told me about them. Yes, they are playing now.
So we've been fortunate. We've had everyone from break dancers to, you know, we have theater company coming. And we also had actually speakers here on the stage as well.
Yes, I love this. Look at the people there. They are under the spaceship having their coffee, dinner, burgers.
This is the
listening to
Rocket
music.
Garden with our Rocket Diner, our Rocket Bar, and our City Rocket Stage.
Amazing. How about we sit, listening to the music and eat a burger?
Sounds great.
شكرا لكم متابعينا على متابعتنا في هذه الحلقة. تدكم من الجناح الأمريكي الأسبوع القادم جناح آخر وطبعا ضيوف كرام آخرين. تصبحون على خير.
Down on the mound, my window it faces the south.